Today we will be talking about Pitch Darkhook the Great, the best fire DPS in HonkaiStarRail, and why you should build her. Hook's basic attack is hee hee, don't get burned. So this basic attack is very similar to all the other basic attacks that we have in HonkaiStarRail, nothing really different. Then we have Hook's skill, hey remember Hook. So the skill deals fire damage equal to a large percentage of Hook's attack to a single enemy. In addition, there is a 100% base chance to inflict burn for 2 turns. When afflicted with burn, enemies will take fire DOT equal to a small percentage of Hook's attack at the beginning of each turn. And then there is an enhanced version of the skill which happens after Hook uses her ultimate. So the enhanced version makes it that the initial hit is a little bit larger, but the main part of this enhanced skill is that additionally it deals fire damage equal to a moderate percentage of Hook's attack to enemies adjacent to the target that you are using your ability on. Next we have Hook's talent Ha. Oil to the Flames. When attacking a target afflicted with burn, it deals additional fire damage equal to a moderate percentage of Hook's attack and regenerates 5 extra energy. So this is the key component of her kit. You always need to have a burn running on the enemy to get the max potential out of Hook. And to get the burn on the enemy, you just use your skill. And usually you're going to be using your skill every turn on Hook, so it's nothing, it just requires a bit of setup, but once it's set up, it's easy sailing. Lastly, we have Hook's ultimate, Boom, Here Comes the Fire. So it deals fire damage equal to a large percentage of Hook's attack to a single enemy, and after using ultimate, the next skill to be used is Enhanced, which deals damage to a single enemy and enemies adjacent to it. So as you can see, Hook's kit is very simple and straightforward, and it is easy to get the most out of her. A lot of other DPS like Dan Heng and Su Shang and require a lot of conditions to set up their DPS. However, Hook really doesn't. After her first turn, once she gets the burn up, she is ready to go for the rest of the fight, and she doesn't really require any special conditions or any other support. And she's just super easy to run. Okay, let's take a look at Hook's traces. So firstly, we have her first major trace, Innocence. Hook restores HP equal to 5% of her max HP whenever her talent is triggered. So this one's not very good, and if you don't have extra boss mats, I recommend not leveling this one up. However, if you do, you can get the minor floating traces behind it, which are all very useful, like attack boost and crit damage boost. Secondly, we have her second major trace, Naivete. The chance to resist crowd control debuffs increases by 35%. This one can come in clutch in some boss fights, such as the Doomsday Beast, Kokolia, and Kafka, who do have a fair amount of CC, and resisting it can sometimes be the thing that can change the outcome of the fight. Although, if you do have cleansers, it's not that big of a deal. Once again, minor floating traces behind it can also be useful. I think Naivete is definitely a higher priority than Innocence. So, the best major trace, and the last one, is Playing with Fire. When using her ultimate, Hook has her action advance forward by 20%, and Hook additionally regenerates 5 energy. So this one is the only one that actually directly impacts her DPS, so this one is the highest priority to get, although it is at Ascension 6. Next, her skill level up priority is Skill, then Talent, then Ultimate. You really don't need to put points into her basic attack. Next, let's talk about Hook's Lightcones. So to start off, we are going to go to the Destruction Lightcones. None of the 3 stars are particularly good for destruction, and we're going to start off with Collapsing Sky. Increases the wearer's basic attack and skill damage by 20%. She doesn't really basic attack, and the scale damage is nice, but the base attack is just not good. Shattered Home deals 20% increased damage to enemies whose HP is above 50%. Once again, it's good, conditional. If the wearer's current HP is lower than 80%, crit rate increases by 12%. This one is also fine. All of them are fine, but she has a way better 4-star option, and the option that you should be going for, in my opinion, which is Wolf Walk Time. Okay, next we're going to be going over the 4-star Lightcones, and to start we have the Moles Welcome You. When the wearer uses basic attack skill or ultimate to attack enemies, the wearer gains Stack of Mischievous. Each stack increases the wearer's attack by 12%. A lot of people think this one stacks each time you use it. No, it just stacks 3 times, so it's not very good, and its attack percentage, which is definitely weaker than damage percentage. Even though it is her signature Lightcone, I don't recommend using this one. Next, we have the Gotcha Lightcone Under the Blue Sky. Increases the wearer's attack by 16%. When the wearer defeats an enemy, the wearer's crit rate increases by 12% for 3 turns. This one is decent. I think this one is better than the Moles Welcome You, for sure. But I think she does have better free-to-play options. So, but if you do have this one, it can be serviceable. But I think this one, Wolf Walk Time, is her best Lightcone. Increases the wearer's attack by 10%, increases their damage to enemies afflicted with burn or bleed by 16%. And this one you can easily superimpose to Superimposition 5. And so this one is really good. And it's not conditional like the other ones, because she will always be applying burn to the enemies. So at Superimposition 5, increases the wearer's attack damage by 20%, increases their damage to enemies afflicted with burn or bleed by 32%, and you will have both of these active all the time. I think at Superimposition 5, this is probably her best. Next, we have Nowhere to Run. Increases the wearer's attack by 24%. Whenever the wearer defeats an enemy, they restore HP equal to 12% of their attack. This one's not really for her. She doesn't need the heal. A Secret Vow increases damage dealt by the wearer by 20%. The wearer also deals an extra 20% of damage to enemies with a higher HP percentage than the wearer. At max Superimposition, this will be 40% damage base, and most of the time you'll not be able to activate the second part of this. So it's not really ideal for Hook. Next, we have On the Fall of an Aeon, which is the Herta Lightcone, and this is for free to play. This one is really good as well. Whenever the wearer attacks, their attack is increased by 8% in this battle up to 4 times. So 8 times 4, big damages. And you can easily get this one max Superimposition as well. Whenever the wearer attacks, their attack is increased by 16%. 16 times 4 would be 64% attack. And when the wearer inflicts weakness break on enemies, the wearer's damage increases by 24% for 2 turns. I think this or Wolf Walk Time are her best. If you can always activate the second part of this one, I think this one is better. I think, however, Wolf Walk Time is definitely just easier to use and will be more consistent for you. However, it is a choice of preference between the two. I think this one has a higher potential than Wolf Walk Time. Next, we have Clara Signature Lightcone, something irreplaceable, increases the wearer's attack by 24%. When the wearer defeats an enemy or is hit, immediately restores HP equal to 8% of the wearer's attack. At the same time, the wearer's damage is increased by 24% until the end of the next turn. This one, it's good. However, Hook probably won't be able to proc it just because you have to run preservation characters right now, and Hook doesn't have any ways to increase her aggro. So a lot of the time, the second part of this Lightcone will not be procced by Hook. However, I think the clear winner for me is Wolf Walk Time or On the Fall of an Aeon. So you can't really go wrong with those two, and they are both free to play. And that's what makes Hook such a great free to play unit. Both of her best Lightcones are free. Okay, I'm going to go over the standard relic build for Hook. So the best in slot for her is the 2-piece of Firesmith of Lava Forging and the 2-piece of Musketeer of Wild Wheat. However, if you don't have Musketeer of Wild Wheat pieces that are good, or if you've been farming the Firesmith of Lava Forging Cavern and you've gotten really cracked pieces, you can run the 4-piece of Firesmith, and that will be the second best choice for Hook. Okay, for the planar ornament sets, you have two choices. We have the Space Ceiling Station, which gives the attack percentage, which I think is the better option of the two, just because Hook uses a lot of attack percentage in her kit and she has a lot of scaling on attack. And the second option is the Inert Salsetto, which is the crit rate planar ornament set. A lot of people are really high on it. She doesn't really have follow-up damage in her kit, and the ultimate is a nice chunk of her damage, but it's not a major chunk of her damage. Out of these two, I would recommend Space Ceiling Station. However, you can go for whichever one you would like. Next, we're going to look at the main stats you want for each piece. So for the body, you want either crit rate or crit damage. For the feet, you'd either want attack percentage or speed. For the link rope, you want attack percentage. And for the planar orb, you definitely want fire damage. For the substats on all of her pieces, crit rate and crit damage are the highest priority. The second highest priority is attack percentage, and then the third priority is speed. Okay, let's take a look at Hook's Eidolons. Hopefully a lot of you guys acquired some of her Eidolons through the Sele banner. If you haven't, it's no big deal. She's a 4-star character, so eventually you will get to the point where you have a lot of her Eidolons and she will be maxed out. And she does have some pretty impactful Eidolons as well. Her first one is Early to Bed, Early to Rise. Enhanced skill damage deals 20% increased damage. And she always uses her skill, but this is only on the enhanced skill. So this one is a nice bump up, but it's not too big. And the enhanced skill is the one that happens after the ultimate. Next, we have Happy Tummy, Happy Body. Extends the duration of burn caused by skill by 1 turn. This one can actually be really good. It can help prop up at multiple burns. It can help make sure that the burns are rolling whenever you want to use your enhanced skill, which does cleave damage. So this one can be really good, actually, for her dot potential. Next, we have Don't Be Picky, Nothing's Icky. This is just a standard level up Eidolon. Next, we have It's Okay to Not Know. When talent is triggered, there's a 100% base chance to burn enemies adjacent to the target enemy, equivalent to that of skill. So this one is huge, because her enhanced skill, when she uses her ultimate, does cleave damage on both sides. So this one will make sure that her talent is being procced and she is doing the extra damage from her enhanced skill. Next, we have Let the Mole's Deeds Be Known. This is just a standard level up Eidolon. And after that, we have Always Ready to Punch and Kick. Hook deals 20% more damage to enemies afflicted with burn. This Eidolon is amazing. This one is just basically a flat 20% damage boost. This Eidolon will always be active when you're playing Hook, because you will always have burns running. So this is a huge increase, and if you have E6, I suggest you build Hook for sure. Okay, let's take a quick look at some team comps for Hook. Hook is quite versatile, and you can run her as a sub DPS for someone like Su Shang, with Hook as the sub damage dealer, and then you can have Natasha as the healer, and then you can have someone like Trailblazer Fire or March 7th as your preservation tank unit. However, most of the time you won't be running Hook as your sub DPS. You want to be running her as the main damage dealer, because she is quite skill point hungry. Her best free-to-play support and her best support, I think in general, is Asta, just because Asta does give that nice increased fire damage, and you can run the Planetary Rendezvous Lightcone on Asta, which just increases her fire damage even more. And I think they have great synergy, and Asta is a free-to-play unit, so that is also really good. And you can run Trailblazer Fire with them as well, just because that gives them that nice synergy. It gives them that nice mono element team. And if you are running this team, the enemy does definitely have to be weak against fire. And then you can replace Natasha for someone like March 7th, and you can replace Fire Trailblazer for someone like Natasha, and you can also run Japard in here. But the core of this team is definitely Hook and Asta. And later down the line, you could even run something like Hook, Himiko, Asta as like a mono fire team. However, right now I suggest only investing into one DPS of each element. And you can also run a Hook hyper carry comp with someone like Ting Yun and Natasha as well. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you have a lot of fun blowing stuff up with Hook.